It's not hype, and if you're not genuinely looking at how to bring it into your business, I think it will be an error that you as a boardroom would regret.
AI become foundational layer and it's deeply embedded into all Microsoft products, actually, not only ERP.
So I don't know how to unpack this in a short time, but that's beyond fascinating because
Hi everyone, I'm Rob Stummer, Director of Growth at SMC, and welcome to another episode of Embedding AI into Enterprise Platforms, an SMC podcast series where we showcase 30-minute deep dives with enterprise software vendors on how they're hardwiring AI and what's coming next. So let's dive straight in. Today I'm very excited to be joined by three executives from Microsoft. We've got Marko based in Brisbane, Marc out of Sydney, and Nataliia over in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand. Welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Great to have you guys here. I know everyone's busy, so just to start with, guys, if we can just have a quick introduction from each of you, a bit of a brief background, what your role is within Microsoft. So, Marko, we might start with you.
Hey, I'm Marko Maljkovic. I'm Digital Specialist Manager for what we call now AI Business Process or Legacy Business Applications. I'm based in Brisbane, as you said, and I lead a team of sellers and solution engineers that are helping our customers find the value in business applications of Microsoft. I started my career in ERP some 18 years ago, and that's where I stayed ever since. So have a lot of background there. Excited to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks, Marko. And Nataliia?
Yes. Hi, everyone. And my name is Nataliia. So my role is solution engineer. So I focus on AI business processes here, which covers Dynamics 365 application like finance and supply chain, which is Microsoft ERP offering. I usually say that my role is to help customers to transform their operations, let's say, and solve their business problems with Microsoft technology. Similar as Marko, I started my career with Microsoft. I started as a functional consultant, and I worked in our partner ecosystem, Microsoft partner ecosystem. I was architecting and delivering end-to-end ERP implementations for customers in different industries. So I probably know how complex and challenging those are, and those ERP transformations are, and from my first-hand experience.
Fantastic. No, thanks, Nataliia. Welcome. And Marc?
Great. Good to be with you all. My name is Marc Havercroft. I lead for the region our Azure EPS business, our Enterprise Partner Solutions business. So I work with our big enterprise customers and our partners to help them find solutions and opportunities in this world, particularly around the AI and the transformation of their businesses, as is very relevant to this podcast today.
Excellent. Thanks, team. Well, Microsoft, as everyone knows, I think our audience are really looking forward to this particular one with Microsoft. Microsoft are obviously the trailblazers when it comes to AI globally, and I was fascinated actually even yesterday. I know during an internal meeting, I think Satchin Nadella came out and said that we, or you as a customer, Microsoft, have to be very careful that you don't become irrelevant, hence why he said he's investing billions of dollars into infrastructure in particular to run all this AI that's happening in the background. So it's very relevant to you guys, but what I'm fascinated about is that it's moving so quickly, this whole AI wave, and I talk to a lot of people out there and a lot of executives and boards, and there's a lot of hype. It's called hype around this AI, and well, it's just the same as the Y2K, and it's it's the same as when the internet started. But look, guys, we all know that this is, yes, it's a wave and there's hype around it, but it is very different to the last cycles we've been through. It's changing a lot, and what I'm really interested here, just to start with from you guys, about what do you think about this hype cycle around AI, where we are today, and how it's changing at a rapid rate of knots, and even And by the time this podcast is published, you blink and it changes with the AI, with everything AI. So I really want to understand as a starting point what excites you about AI and particularly how it relates to enterprise software for this particular podcast. So yeah, I might start with you, Nataliia. What excites you about AI and the wave we're going through now?
I think what excites me the most is that we are at the time when we can reimagine completely the way how people interact with the software. So if we look at the digital transformation projects or ERP implementation projects back, and I'm looking back in my experience, we always look at that, not let's say lift and shift, but we always try to sort of bring some part of the process into ERP. What I see with the change of agentic capabilities and AI coming into the play is that we actually can completely reimagine the whole process, and sometimes the things can be done in completely different ways, which enables organizations actually to achieve better customer service, increase their revenues, and basically improve employees' productivity. And it's not about system anymore, it's about the business process and how you would like for your organization to basically operate in future. That's probably going to be my take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Marko, what about yourself?
Hey Rob, you mentioned hype. Yeah, I think I would challenge that. At Microsoft, we are moved from hype to habit. We are using it so much that it became invisible almost. Like we rolled over the last couple of years AI across our business, especially sales teams, and it is producing a lot of results. As you know, these GPUs are not cheap to buy, and the investment was significant, but the results are nothing short of fascinating. So look, what excites me, I think being customer zero gives us a great advantage to tell the story from our own angle. But I think, ANZ is perfectly positioned for this transformation. I think even government is just waiting for us to help them, optimize and increase productivity. So I think it's a big moment in Australia and New Zealand right now. And as you know, AI fatigue is real. Kind of everything has prefix AI, but I think it's actually giving competitive advantage. So it is sort of very exciting time where we sit. So I'll tell you examples later, but like money that these things are already saving for Microsoft are just in hundreds of millions of dollars.
And that's the thing. So we know that it sounds like AI has just been upon us for a couple of years once ChatGPT came out, right? But like we all know, it's been around for 10 plus years and it's already being embedded. So, but now there's a bit of a race to get it embedded into the platforms and who's doing the most. But Mark, what are your thoughts? What excites you at the moment?
Look, I think I'll just probably echo what my colleagues say. This isn't hype. I mean, I appreciate there's noise around AI and different things, but this is very real. Our enterprise customers are experiencing this. As Marko and Nataliia have said, we are customer zero. We as individuals are experiencing this. I'm seeing it every day in my team and in our customers. So my note of caution is, guys, this is something the boardroom really needs to think about. What excites me about it is exactly what we've said. As a user myself, as a commercial user, I think the ability to be far more productive as an individual, as a team, and as a business is very, very clear. Just a simple, quick example would be, we've rolled out more product in the last 12 months than we have in the last 3 years, right? If you think of the size of our business and the products we roll out, that's a phenomenal change, using AI to enhance the talent that we have in the organization. And I know a lot of the hype will be about fear of jobs and everything, like we always see in industrial changes, but with every change, there will be new opportunities, and we see those opportunities already. So it's not hype, and if you're not genuinely looking at how to bring it into your business, I think it will be an error that you as a boardroom would regret.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all the boardrooms around the country are looking at it very seriously. We know because we're talking to them. So, but it's just how they are going to use and leverage AI to make their teams more productive. And it's not about, as you pointed out, Marko, people losing jobs, which is what's happening. That's the reality. But it's actually going to create more jobs than are being lost. So, we'll see that transition happen. But even from 2 weeks ago, or when I first started the podcast series, the analysts were saying that this is a combination of the big analysts out there, that over 60% of core ERP workflows will have AI embedded into them. Since then, there's another report that came out yesterday, which I'll drop in the podcast notes after this, that it's now up to 70%. They're predicting 70% of workflows are going to have AI-assisted decision support by 2027, which is staggering, right? So this is how quickly this is going. And that's why, from your front seat row at Microsoft, we want to talk about that pace and how you guys are actually seeing it. And no doubt, I feel that you guys are ahead of the curve, but I'll let you guys explain that to the audience out there. So I guess, is there anything else you guys want to add around the analysts and how they're seeing that pace of change? And as I said earlier, I know that AI has already been embedded into big enterprise platforms for many years, not just over the last couple, but how have you guys seen that pace?
I think that we love the analysts and their views and what they can see. I think, as you just outlined, 60 to 70, I think it will be 100% very quickly. The ability to support decisions and create a better outcome on any of these processes will go across all the ERP systems and all enterprise systems, is my opinion. We see that from the companies that are adopting it and what we call frontier organizations who are really looking to change their organizations to be AI-based businesses. So I think the analysts are right. I think what will surprise us, and this is a Marc Havercroft stat, nothing official, I think the adoption and the rapid change from 60 to 70 to 100% will be a lot quicker than anybody has seen in technology changes. That's my view from what I see in customers and how they're adopting it.
Okay. Anything to add, Marko or Nataliia, on that one?
Yeah, look, I'll quote our founder, Bill Gates. He said, we always overestimate what will happen in 2 years and underestimate what will happen in 10 years. I think we are in incubation year this year in business applications, so it's picking up pace. I think next year will be massive and it will exponentially start growing from there. But I think if we just go and narrow down to ERP is fairly structured. So in that space, I think we need to get those workflows that are really working perfectly. And once we do that, there is no reason not to use them. So I think it's just about kind of picking up those scenarios, and we've picked kind of a couple dozen of them and already developed them. But narrowing down use cases and making them almost like no-brainer, because there are so many functions that people don't want to do and they have to. So if we talk about timesheets, expense reports, you don't want to do that, but you want to focus on procurement. So different users will adopt it in different pace, but I think it's going to be in next couple of years, definitely to extent that you mentioned.
Yeah, what we're seeing is that obviously there's a lot of people that are developing AI apps that bolt into enterprise software, be it ERP or any other. But what we're seeing is a little bit of an uptake of these bolt-ons into businesses now. And I think I know a lot of that is preemptive because of the fact that the pace that the big vendors like yourselves are doing and embedding into their platforms, which is what we're talking about today, they're actually buying these apps that they don't need. So it's important that they understand the roadmap of who they're partnering with and where that's at, so they don't waste their time. So we're seeing a little bit of that happening at the moment. But Nataliia, just because of your role, I really want to dig into the nuts and bolts of where AI lives today within, let's talk about the AI platform for now, but what modules or layers do you see that are infused with this intelligence, and what architectural principles guided the design, without getting too technical?
Yeah, no problems. Look, I think the first thing to point out here is AI become foundational layer and it's deeply embedded into all Microsoft products, actually, not only ERP. So basically anywhere from Azure to Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and Dynamics 365, this is where AI sits. And I think that's the beauty of being a part of one ecosystem. So all our AI features are run on Azure, and by default, it comes with security built by design. So you have all the governance and compliance and security built in, as which also adhere with Microsoft responsible AI principles. And then if we look at the, let's say, ERP stack itself, it is natively in Dynamics 365. It sits in its modules. Basically, it is modular solution. You could have AI infused into the finance, processes, supply chain, the likes of HR, and so on and so forth. It is embedded into various layers, starting from the data layer to its business logic and user interface. I'll give you a couple of examples because I think in this day and age, I'm trying to get away from the ERP as ERP scope, because what every organization seeks these days is actually end-to-end visibility of the entire process within their organization. And sometimes, or very little, of these processes actually only sit in ERP. So sometimes you could have some email on the side, or maybe third-party system like your freight forwarder system that you're using to, we talk about sales and shipments, or just emails that you interact interact with your suppliers. So it is important to have one platform with seamless integration, which actually gives you, let's say, enables you to get the data from across the entire organization, from everything that you may know about, regardless of whether it sits in ERP or not. And a couple of examples that we already have is a supplier communication agent. So for example, where we streamline the order management process and we streamline our collaboration with our suppliers by sort of, if you have this communication going on the side in the Outlook, you can actually have ERP seeing that through and going and updating the orders in parallel. So you don't actually, as a procurement person, you don't actually have to go and look at these details or make manually these changes yourself. And that just means that, the AI is everywhere and it actually ingests those signals from many other places. And basically, modularity is something that we allow our customers to adopt AI in their own pace and choose the modular function they want to adopt. And then seamless integration through the entire stack or entire product of Microsoft product stack, which basically doesn't require for you to interfere or interrupt your flow during the day, and actually have one place where you can do, like, basically staying in the flow of work, one place that allows you to execute your business process end to end without switching the systems. And then if we think of all the features that we deliver, AI-powered features or the agents that Microsoft built in already, we provide our customers and partners the tools alongside with it to extend those. Whether you want to change the behaviors or create something brand new which suits your organization only. The second part is ability to tailor it to your business needs, basically. So extensibility is another core principle that we always follow and give this option to our customers, basically, to do whatever they like and ensure that we're addressing business process and we're not hitting any system limitations. So core principles, I would say modularity, extendability, seamless integration with the entire stack. Not only Microsoft though, you can cover third-party products too. And then of course, staying and having all these AI governed and secure by design, complying with the responsible AI principles.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Nataliia. What I'm interested in is, though, back to the fact that there's so many AI services being developed on the market outside of what Microsoft are doing, and they may be ahead of the game in certain areas for certain modules. Do you leverage those third-party AI services as an interim measure, or do you just keep going building your own? Potentially you'll swallow and integrate some, or potentially acquire some of those services as well. So Mark, what are your thoughts on that, and how do you define that?
Yeah, I guess in this case, I would probably look at the selection of the model or AI model that is used is a core design consideration. And Microsoft went through this, and it was a foundational, let's say, decision that needs to be made. So first of all, for those services that power Copilot and agentic capability for M365, for Dynamics 365, and other embedded intelligence and process automation, Microsoft primarily uses Azure OpenAI service models, the likes of GPT-5o and its different variants. But what we incorporated into this also is that if our customers would want to have some niche domain expertise and they need some specifically tailored models to address their scenarios, we actually allow an integration with third-party models and services that are available on the market. These are always being done or can be addressed through secure connectors and APIs, which usually surfaced by Microsoft technologies like Power Platform, Fabric, or Dataverse. But basically, the selection and the thought process in terms of the modeling is, one is you could have pre-built models for specific, very, very tailored for your specific business process to address your compliance needs, or you would have for more foundational AI processes is going to be OpenAI services, Azure OpenAI.
Yeah, that gives a lot of flexibility. And Marko, I want to just extend that a little bit. So from an inference strategy standpoint, are you running AI in tenant on your own cloud or via a hybrid type approach? Marko, what are your thoughts on that?
All of the above. We don't kind of discriminate there, but look, we are a platform company. We have our own horse in the race, and that's OpenAI, and that's foundational. But we allow AI to run on a client and on an edge and many combinations of that. So it really depends from use case. But I would say, we don't discriminate. You can bring your model and it can work on cloud and on server and on your local machine as well.
Yeah, that's good, and I just wanted to get that from you. I think most people feel that, but hearing it from you is terrific for our audience to hear that. But you touched on use cases, so I think that's really important again for this audience listening to this podcast. We can talk a lot about what has been done within the product. However, it's not real until it's actually live in action with a customer. So I want to switch to business value now. I know we spoke a little bit technical there, but I want to talk about which AI use cases are delivering some really fast ROI and what kind of metrics prove that within your customer base. So, can one of you just maybe share an example of a use case where this is being proven?
I can start if you both don't mind. I think these days the ROI comes from three main areas. Is the process automation, could be customer support, and productivity enhancements. So if we look at the automated workflows, the likes of invoice processing or order management, these regularly deliver ROI within under 6 months basically, and always proven in cost and time savings. Of course, depends on the use case. You can achieve up to 60% of reduction in manual workload. Currently, we already have some agents available to our customers, and I'll share a bit of the statistics, which is based on the Microsoft internal studies and the early adopter references of our customers who use our pre-built agents. So we have an account reconciliation agent built for finance teams to work and basically reconcile ledger and subledger, identify the discrepancies and variances, and react and act on those. So these type of agentic capabilities helped finance teams to increase productivity by 20%. And then of course also in addition to that, they got the risk reduction by 25% and less errors that they've made as well, because this has all been automated for them. The supplier communication agent I mentioned earlier, where it helps the procurement professionals to, let's say, manage the order changes and communicate about the delivery delays with their suppliers, increases procurement team's efficiency by 15%. And also with having more accurate delivery dates and timelines, they don't have to carry the more stock or store more stock in their inventory. Therefore, it also introduced 20% of reduction in their inventory levels because of this efficiency. So these are my examples that I've seen and heard of in context of ERP. But if there is anything else, guys, chip in here.
Yeah, well, they're really impressive stats already, Nataliia. So it's obviously proving its worth already. But I'm keen to understand: are there any unexpected hotspots that you're seeing within the customer bases?
Yeah, I think we see a number of industries that are really adopting it quite quickly. Financial services, retail, those tend to be two of the major areas. Of course, manufacturing, I think, has always been on that curve. But I think surprisingly, it's in which parts of these businesses that we're seeing adoption. Maybe it's not just in the back office, it's actually in the customer interactions. And that's where we're starting to see it apply, really, where we're able to improve the customer experience and access that information and services that customer needs quicker. This results in higher customer satisfaction, greater growth in the business, and those factors that are really important to a business in retail or financial services in a competitive market. So, those are some of the industries that we see. But I think, as I said, one of the key interesting things is where they're applying the AI in front-facing, external-facing scenarios, which is improving a lot of KPIs that you wouldn't possibly normally consider to apply the technology.
No, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. What I want to move to now is the roadmap, and I don't want you guys to give any trade secrets away, because obviously the competition want to know what you guys are doing and vice versa. So, but what I want to do is if you could share potentially, if we look 18 months ahead, 18 months is probably too far now with AI, but let's look 12 months ahead. Which two AI capabilities have you locked into the roadmap, and why are they so critical to Microsoft's enterprise platform?
Yeah, I would probably say more than half of the features that we're going to release is going to be AI powered, if not all of them. But if we are looking at the roadmap, the way how we publish our roadmap at Microsoft is, especially in the context of ERP, we provide 6 months lookout in terms of what feature is going to land within next, let's say currently we have a wave coming from September to April 26th. So what feature is going to land and what focus for us as an organization lies to address, and what capabilities we're going to release to the market. So I think there's a couple of things. There's lots of exciting things going on, but I wanted to sort of summarize it a little bit to give an insight where the things are moving. So first is we are going to invest into the role-specific agents. So we already have account reconciliation agent, I mentioned supplier communication agent. We have time and expense entry agent, which enables employees to create their timesheets and expenses literally touchlessly and without any manual intervention. But what I see what's going to happen is that the scope of these agents would grow, and we would also address another pain points within the same same flow. So that's the first part. So everywhere beyond today's, let's say, capabilities release, beyond the just generic assistance or some summaries, we will get the copilots, which is designed for finance professionals to address and tackle finance specific tasks like end of period close. For supply chains, like it could be for the warehouse people, you could look at the strategic inventory positioning and inventory optimization. For manufacturers, we could have a data quality agents that are looking into your manufacturing history and the run of the history of your job runs, and basically saying, look, you have to change or update your bill of materials and act on the data. So basically anywhere where AI can bring the value within the business process, we'll get those things added and to address end-to-end process scope. The second one is what we found so far and what is evident to us is it's great to have those pre-built scenarios and agents to our customers, but every business has their uniquenesses. So there's always 20% that they want to add, if not more. And sometimes they actually want to create completely custom workflow. So the other very important part of it is us as Microsoft enabling our customers to build their own agents effortlessly, without the need to do extensive development. So we are working on MCP server. And for those who are not familiar, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, which is the open standard that connects AI agents to various systems. So we are working on the connector for our ERP systems. Basically, by having that, our users, our customers, our partners would be enabled to call any function within the ERP or action, how they could do this manually in the system without the need to write a line of code. So this will enable our customers and partners to actually be more creative in what the scenarios they would like to build, and basically just helps them to progress and adopt AI swiftly in the areas which make sense for organizations.
Yeah, no, that's great, Nataliia. Sorry, Mark, you said something? Yeah.
Rob, could I just add to that, Rob? Because I think you asked a question earlier about should the customers out there be building their own, should they be investing and buying these apps? I think Nataliia makes a really, really good point there, and I just want to underline it. We see with our partners as well as our customers, we want to give them the opportunity to create those agents and apps, Rob. You know, to your question, should we be building, should we be buying as an enterprise customer? I would say our argument is you should be building based on your uniqueness as a business, and we will allow you to do that. So create your own agents relevant to your own ERP system and your own business. Or you go onto our app store and you will see our partners building their own expertise in these processes as well, just like you've seen in other kind of application stores and things like that. So I think the real message there about build and buy is actually it's no code. If you understand your business and your unique business processes for productivity and profit, use our platform to build those for your own business. That's what you should definitely be doing. You know your business better than anybody else. So either buy or build based on your own unique business needs.
That's great advice, Mark. And one thing that fascinates me about Aussies in particular and all the APAC region is having been, I've worked for global vendors for the last 20 years. I am fascinated by the thirst for new tech in this part of the world. So the Aussies really want to embrace new tech and try and leverage it. So the reason I say that is that I'm wondering whether the initiatives that you guys are driving globally from an AI perspective, is Australia or APAC as a region seen as a test bed for some of this stuff? What's the rollout protocol for Microsoft? Is it by region first? Is it by industry segment? Marko, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, we have these data centers worldwide, and we've done a lot of push to standardize them as much as possible, you know, from processors to cables to everything. And of course, we want to have that unique experience, but we do roll in a different way, different functions. Let's say Australia for APAC is absolutely, in my business, in SMC, we have half of the business of whole of Asia. So we are massive. We are small but mighty, I would say. But that is because we have language advantage. We have the thriving, ecosystem of customers that are building things and adopting really fast. And Microsoft is a good brand name here. So I think all of this combined, and buying power is sufficient. But look, we roll things usually first in, those US regions, and Australia comes as a close second. And we do roll different functions in different regions because of compliance. Let's say APRA is giving some compliance for FSI. So you cannot deploy service that pushes data to US to be processed for that reason. And then you have to kind of wait until you sort that compliance. But yeah, we do roll pretty quickly. I'm talking days and weeks here for most of the products. And even updates. Long past is a time when you say, I want to update to be deployed on 17th night between 3 and 5. We apply those updates every week. And like we cannot wait because they're security in nature, and then some of them are compliance in nature. So yeah, we are at the bleeding edge. And most of the region comes close after, but maybe language stops it for a while, yeah.
No, very good. That makes a lot of sense, Marko. Thanks for sharing that. From an industry perspective, though, I want to think about the adoption levels around the embracing AI. Are there any specific industries or customer segments that are picking this up quicker than others? And if so, what's driving that momentum for that particular industry or customer segment?
I think there's different appetite in different industries and organizations based on, to be honest, the drive of that leadership team or that boardroom. I think the one thing I'd say about adoption is I think we're all quite amazed at the individual adoption of this technology, whether it's, in your house potentially, or whether in your workplace or individually. For us at Microsoft, the adoption of the technology and applying it in the day-to-day work at the individual level is far quicker and greater than we've ever seen of other technology. It is really being picked up quickly. I mean, if I had to give you some industries, I would say like the quick wins are the ones where people are seeing it on that customer interaction. So retail and FSI for me in this region seem to be the primary adopters. I think it's industry agnostic. It is genuinely based on the appetite for change and the opportunity of the business. And one final point, I just want to, fly the flag for Asia and ANZ is from the US, is this region has like 3/4 of the world's developers. It is the most fastest growing region in the world. ANZ is a fantastic business and you're right, we all adopt and love the technology. But we're seeing this from Korea to India to Japan. It really is, progressing at such a rate. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Mark. That makes a lot of sense. I want to shift the conversation a little bit towards the guardrails that Microsoft are putting in place, because the boards that I'm talking to and the executives out there, they're nervous around ethics, trust, privacy, security, that transparency. And, we're seeing a lot of articles in the press where there's certain executives that have uploaded whole company documents that are into the chat GPTs of the world, which are going out into the ether. So there's a lot of thought from boards now again, well, how do we protect our data? How do we make sure it doesn't escape? How do we make sure we're doing it ethically? Is it secure? That level of transparency. So I'm really keen, or I know the audience listening to this podcast will be very keen to understand Microsoft's position on what type of guardrails you guys are embedding into the platforms to make sure that it's safe.
Look, we are a platform company, Rob. We built this thing from scratch. So it took us 10 years to build Azure foundationally to all these apps, and they all sit on that same foundation. So security is for us paramount. It's by design, and we are slowly becoming one of the, it's not the biggest security vendors around. There's a lot of controversy there, but definitely a lot of security depends on us worldwide. And I think this is not our first rodeo in terms of privacy. We've gone through European Privacy Act, and we kind of changed how we build products so that privacy and security are owned by design and they are embedded in the system. And you have full transparency who can see your data, how and when. So to tell you, we don't kind of invite people to work in our data centers, but we do invite analysts who are not analysts, some vendors that are doing those audits of servers, and they ask all the questions that they want. Who can access data, how, when, under what circumstances, where is the audit? And then they publish those reports. And we put them on Microsoft Trust's website, and you can see the inner workings of all these services. And to tell you a final thought, I think the problem was with whether your data will be used to train other models. That's one, and especially in professional services, that's a big no-go. But I think we have such a big traction now with them. They're trusting that their own tenants will not be training anyone else's data. So I think we are past that hurdle, and we've worked for a long time to build that trust. But I think that has to be earned, that level of trust. And I think Microsoft has a big reputation in being trusted for most of the businesses, and they trust their emails and data to us all the time. So I think we are banking on that, but we're banking on a great work across that platform to make sure this is not kind of afterthought. We built this intentionally for many, many years, and it just works, and it works perfectly. So I think, let me just finish on one thought. We deployed GPT-5 now, and if you use GPT-5, it tells you those reasoning steps, how it came to a conclusion. So you have a lot more transparency by design in all these products. It's not just answer kind kind of 5, where it came from, why, what is the source. You can get insights of how the model thinks, and I think that helps as well.
Yeah, no, that's terrific, Marko. Thanks for sharing that, and that will reassure the audience that Microsoft obviously have got this front and center, and no doubt there'll be some glitches along the way, and let's just hope it doesn't make front page news, but I think there's significant guardrails that Microsoft have, and as you pointed out, Marko, it's been many years in the making, so they're in pretty safe hands when they go with Microsoft, there's no doubt about it. What I want to focus on now, guys, is another a customer angle. I think you don't have to mention customer names here, but I think it would be good for the audience to hear a success story. So let's what was the initial challenge that the customer was facing? What AI capability was deployed or did they utilize within your platform, and what was the implementation approach, and what were the benefits they achieved? I'm not sure whether you've got a classic example that you could potentially share with the audience.
I have our own co-pilot for service that we deployed across customer service in Microsoft. So we are the customer. We have 50,000 plus people responding to customer support. So it's from anyone's Xbox not loading to mission critical systems not working in retail and closing shops. So anything in between is fair call for that team. And they deployed co-pilot for service for a couple of reasons: to be more equipped and better in responding initially to those queries, to have seamless experience and round it up empathetic and kind of consistent way, and to be able to collaborate across teams much more efficiently. Look, numbers that I have are within hundreds of millions in 1 year and then growing from there. And then we cut handling time by 16% and case volume by 12%. These are massive numbers, but because of these 50,000 operators, I think customer satisfaction growing is another angle. And I'll give you one more that fascinates me more than anything else. We are able to support Japan from Philippines, from people who don't speak Japanese, and improve customer satisfaction. So I don't know how to unpack this in a short time, but that's beyond fascinating, because how difficult it is to find a Japanese-speaking Microsoft expert for certain area. It's like opening markets for those customers who want to go into countries that they don't speak language or have local presence. So it is I think, transformational impact that cannot be just money can explain it. It's opening new opportunities. So yeah, that's one example.
Yeah, that's a classic example of where there's no more boundaries or borders, is there, with this really cool tech that's breaking down the language barriers. So that's really good to hear, Mark, on a really classic example. Any others that you guys want to share? You don't need to, but is there any you want to put on the table?
Yeah, Rob, there's a few, but you can appreciate we're kind of really commercial in confidence on these, because we're really working with like what we call frontier firms about driving it. But to give you some stats as well, like we're looking at anywhere between 25 to 50% increase on sales through use of AI within the sales process, and we're also looking at customer satisfaction increasing over 50 to 60 points as well. And as Marko said, some of the technology behind it and the way of resolving, answering the questions, access to information as a consumer, as a business, B2B or B2C, is really the magic that's making those things happen. We're seeing it predominantly across those businesses that have a large B2C flavor to them. So banking, insurance, finance, retail, these are areas that are really adopting these things and seeing genuine bottom line improvements and cost savings. And above all, other kind of additional measures that are really important: brand loyalty, brand recognition, promotion, these type of things that are really critical in a very busy and active market that we're all in at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Thanks, Mark. That's great, guys. You've shared a lot. I want to, just for any of our audience that are potentially going through a buying cycle now and when they're doing their due diligence, are there any specific due diligence questions you feel that customers or potential prospects should be considering, basically because they're wanting to know, well, okay, what AI is embedded into the platform? How's it going to help me? What due diligence do they need to do to make sure that there's substance there and it's real? Is there any advice you can give them?
I can start probably here, being a part of those ERP transformation and just looking at the ERP itself, the scope of the processes within ERP, which touches financials and critical operations, which has to be audited from time to time by another independent organizations. I would always ask how your AI-enabled ERP handles all the critical, your data security basically and governance, and how it handles the compliance requirements. Because I believe that with ERP as a bare minimum, we should have the transparency in terms of where your data goes, how is it used, and how you are getting to specific outcomes comes when AI or the process, whatever you run within your system, returns you. How can you cross-check and understand that the results you are getting are valid? So compliance, security, and governance, I would probably say, is top of mind for us. And I believe that for customers is top of mind as well, because we're hearing it all the time.
Yeah, no, thanks, Nataliia. That's terrific. All right, we're coming to the end now. We're coming close to the end anyway. Just to finish, I'm really keen to understand just very short, sharp sort of point from each of you as to like a crystal ball sort of, where is this all heading? You know, given that we've already said that it's the pace of change is so rapid that you blink, it's changed. Where is it all going? You know, in 5 years' time, what's this all going to look like? You know, who wants to start? I don't want a big an essay on this. I just want like a couple of sentences. Where's it all going?
I'll give it a go. I think that in 5 years, what we'll see less of us opening individual applications and just interacting in one manner with an AI front end that will go and deal with all the different business applications and processes that you need to as an individual or a business.
Yeah, probably gonna second whatever Mark said, because I think we will remove the boundaries. There'll be no concept from user perspective of the application where you do it. You just move to the business process and you do what you need and you ask the system to do what you want to do, and it will adjust on the fly. We might be even in the place where you would have the forms that dynamically designed for the user based on the query that they ask in the point of time. So we are moving away, and especially for me, it is mind-blowing, because if we look at the ERP currently, any ERP systems, it's all these forms over the tables with very static views, which hard to interact with. So the future is you would not have these forms. You would only see what's important and top of mind for a specific user according to what the task they are doing right now.
Yeah, fascinating. And Marko, what about yourself?
Let me be more kind of bold. I think, reading the book, Thinking Fast and Slow, I think, we make a lot of mistakes as human. So I think this can help us not make those mistakes in important places. I would hope that AI, we are thinking now, you can from Outlook update your CRM, which is kind of, okay, you're still updating your CRM, but easier way. I think we can move fundamentally to a point where it can give you hints and tips about what needs to be done and where and when. And if you're making a mistake, maybe tell you, hey, maybe you're sending email that will cost you, and then not be the right thing. So I'm thinking it will help us make better decisions. And it's foundational, not optional, to have AI helping you in those processes, because your business livelihood depends on that. So I think we will get there in 5 years.
Yeah, I'm backing you there, Marko. I kind of agree. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens. But that's excellent, guys. Thank you so much for sharing some of the insights from Microsoft there. I just want to recap 3 key takeaways for the audience today. First one was that, and Marko just highlighted it again, was that AI is now foundational with Microsoft. It's not optional in ERP architecture anymore. Microsoft has deeply embedded AI across Dynamics 365, in particular, the ERP modules there, like finance, supply chain, HR, project operations. I think, Nataliia, you mentioned that as well. These aren't bolt-on features. We saw that today. They're native capabilities powered by Azure AI. And this architectural choice obviously ensures the scalability, the security, and the seamless integration across the whole Microsoft ecosystem, which is really impressive. The second key takeaway from the discussion we've had today is that Microsoft Cloud was purpose-built actually for AI, data, and business applications. That's the whole foundational layer, which is great for everyone to understand. So unlike retrofitted platforms, the Azure Cloud was designed from the ground up to support those AI workloads, including secure data mobility, enterprise-grade business applications. And it's that long-term architectural vision that, Nataliia, you shared with us. The high performance, the privacy by design, that seamless interoperability between 365 and the Power Platforms is incredible at Microsoft. Definitely trailblazing in that area. And I guess the third takeaway for our audience is that data ownership and responsible AI is absolutely non-negotiable, and it's front and center for Microsoft. So it's clear that customers retain full ownership of their data, which is never used, and Marko pointed this out, to train models or shared externally for that matter, which will give people reassurance there. And we know that the AI runs in Microsoft's cloud, built-in privacy, security, and all those deletion protocols. So this commitment to the ethical AI, it's backed totally by Microsoft, and it influences all their decisions. So that's fantastic. So there you have it, everyone. Microsoft, as I said, are definitely trailblazers in this space. We're proud to support organizations on their journey to implement some of these things that Microsoft have discussed today. So please reach out if you want to have a chat to any of the speakers on the call. call today, or myself from SMC. But once again, thank you so much, Marko, Nataliia, and Marc. It's been a delight to have you on, and I'm sure our audience have appreciated the insights that you've shared today. So thank you to our audience for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you.